Hi, I'm Jessica, a 30-year-old woman, and I want to share a recent experience that helped bring closure to a difficult period in my life, one that involved both my husband and his family. This chapter began a few months ago, and now that the dust has started to settle, I'm still processing the emotional fallout. I believe opening up about it might help me heal. Let's rewind to 3 years ago when I made a significant life decision. I married my boyfriend, Tyler. We met through mutual friends and enjoyed 3 wonderful years together before deciding to tie the knot. Tyler was always the life of the party, fun, attentive, and loving. He came from a well-off family and had a great job, which meant he could shower me with gifts and affection. Our bond grew stronger over our shared love for travel, and as our relationship deepened, my friends frequently praised him, genuinely happy for us. Tyler's generosity was often overwhelming. I remember when he bought me a new laptop for my college graduation, a gesture that, while incredibly kind, also made me feel uncomfortable at times. I couldn't help but notice the financial imbalance. Tyler, I'm just a student, I'd say. I can't match your spending. Let me at least split some costs. But Tyler would brush it off, insisting that it was normal for him to pamper his partner, just like his friends did. Eventually, I accepted his gestures, though I still sought ways to contribute within my means. Once I landed a good-paying job after graduation, I was excited to reciprocate his generosity. We started sharing expenses more equally and even talked about moving in together. "You can move in with me," Tyler said one day. "I inherited my house from my grandpa, so no rent to worry about, but we can split everything else to keep things fair." Although I had some reservations, Tyler reassured me that he had my best interests at heart, and so we embarked on this new chapter together. Things were going smoothly. Our financial responsibilities were shared fairly, given our different incomes, until I had the chance to meet Tyler's family. They lived far from us, and Tyler had work commitments, so I had to host them on my own. Before their arrival, Tyler warned me about their judgmental tendencies but didn't go into much detail. He just advised me to smile through it and not take any harsh words to heart. With that in mind, I approached the meeting with cautious optimism. However, any hope of a warm welcome quickly vanished when Tyler's parents and sister arrived. Instead of the friendly atmosphere I'd anticipated, they showed up visibly annoyed, setting a tense tone from the start. It didn't take long before their opinions about me became painfully clear. "So, you're the woman Tyler's been seeing," his mother Martha said coldly. "I didn't expect to find you living here. Do you even pay rent?" "No, Martha," I replied calmly, though her question caught me off guard. "Tyler told me the house was fully paid for, but we split all other bills evenly." Martha wasn't convinced. "Just because the house is paid for doesn't mean you can freeload. This is Tyler's house, not yours. Remember that." Her words stung, and the conversation grew more uncomfortable. Tyler's sister, Teresa, wasn't any better. She barely spoke to me, opting instead to glare or mention her marriage to a billionaire, as if to remind me of her superior status. Every attempt I made to connect with her was met with dismissiveness. Throughout their visit, Tyler offered no support. In fact, he seemed to side with his family, echoing their sentiments. His parents criticized my spending habits, particularly my purchases of makeup and skincare products, claiming they were frivolous considering my so-called limited contributions to the household. Their skepticism about my financial independence only deepened, partly because of comments Tyler had made. He casually mentioned to them, "Jessica was just a struggling student when we met," as if I'd been entirely dependent on him. While it's true Tyler supported me financially early on, his portrayal wasn't entirely accurate, and it felt like he was subtly reinforcing their negative opinions. Tyler's family's disapproval of me, combined with his passive stance, made the entire experience incredibly challenging. It left me questioning not only my relationship with them but also the dynamic between Tyler and me. I was caught off guard by these remarks and reminded Tyler that we had already adjusted our financial arrangement to split the bills equally. I explained that I had lived modestly both before and during our relationship and that any luxury items I had were gifts from him, gifts I had often warned him against due to their extravagance. Yet Tyler defended his lavish spending, claiming that his social status required him to give extravagant gifts. It became clear that his generosity was more about impressing his friends than truly caring for me. Their visit left me with a bitter feeling, so I confronted Tyler about the entire ordeal once they left. Unfortunately, he brushed it off. "Don't take it to heart, Jessica," he said dismissively. "They meant well. What they said wasn't serious. Relax, you're overreacting. Despite my concerns, he refused to acknowledge the problem. 5 months later, Tyler proposed, and despite my reservations, I accepted in a moment of happiness. We started planning our engagement party, deciding to split the costs evenly. By then, I was running a small business on the side. Tyler knew about it, but he never really showed interest in how much I was earning. To me, it was more of a fulfilling hobby than a major source of income. When it came time to organize the engagement party, I decided to indulge a bit, feeling it was an occasion worth celebrating. Tyler supported me in this, and we made sure to share the expenses equally. I even took on the additional costs of covering plane tickets for my extended family so they could attend. However, as the celebration unfolded, the same old criticisms resurfaced. You shouldn't have splurged so much on this party, Jessica. You're draining Tyler's account before you're even married. At this rate, you'll end up with a backyard wedding, his family sneered. I thought you were financially irresponsible, but it's worse than I imagined. Their harsh words stung once again, clouding what should have been a joyful moment with doubt and frustration. I stood my ground and firmly responded to Martha. Yes, the party was extravagant, but we both agreed to it. I paid my share, and it was actually your son's idea to invite so many people. Tyler had insisted, and I couldn't say no, especially when he mentioned he didn't mind the expense. But the criticism continued. Martha accused me of manipulating Tyler into spending more than he should, while Teresa chimed in, claiming she knew exactly what kind of person I was and that I should have been more considerate. Frustrated and overwhelmed by the tension, I excused myself to find some peace outside on the venue's lawn. There, I overheard Teresa and her husband Justin laughing at my expense. It felt like my engagement party was falling apart, with Tyler seemingly oblivious to his family's harsh judgments. Many of his extended relatives assumed I was jobless, painting me as a dependent fiancé. Noticing my distress, my mom, always protective and perceptive, approached me. As someone who had raised me as a single parent, she understood the challenges of managing finances and urged me to reconsider the engagement, pointing out the ongoing mean comments from Tyler's family. After the party, I confronted Tyler about everything that had happened. He shrugged it off, saying they were just joking, and reassured me that financial matters didn't concern him because he loved me. But I was firm, telling him I wanted to contribute more significantly to our expenses, including rent. Once again, he dismissed the idea. As we moved forward with wedding planning, the stress only intensified. Tyler's parents continued to criticize every choice I made, accusing me of bankrupting their son. The constant scrutiny made the engagement period feel unbearable. I tried explaining that everyone, including my mom, was pitching in for the wedding expenses, but Martha sharply accused me of taking advantage of Tyler, suggesting that I was trying to drain his bank account. Amid these accusations, my in-laws unfairly branded me a gold digger. I calmly addressed Gabriel, hoping to alleviate his concerns. Gabriel, I'm not asking for any financial help. We are completely capable of financing the wedding ourselves, I reassured him. Despite my explanations, Teresa didn't hold back her criticisms, especially about the cost of my dress and makeup for the wedding day, even though I had clarified that those were covered by my mother. The ceremony itself went smoothly, but during the reception, Martha and Gabriel continued to criticize my spending habits, accusing me of financially exploiting their son. Despite the harsh words, I knew that no matter how much I explained or defended myself, they were determined to paint me in the worst possible light. I chose to remain silent, determined not to let any conflict ruin what was supposed to be a special day. A few months later, Tyler received a significant promotion at work, and he was eager to celebrate with a grand family dinner. I was thrilled for him and wanted to make the occasion even more memorable, so I offered to cover all the expenses myself. Tyler, I want this dinner to be something extraordinary. I'm so proud of you, and I want to celebrate your success, I told him enthusiastically. He appreciated the gesture, and I shared that my business was flourishing, providing me with a stable income, and that I had recently accessed a trust fund from my paternal grandfather. I meticulously planned the entire event, determined to make it perfect for his celebration. However, when his family arrived, they were visibly displeased, despite the positive feedback from other guests. It became clear that they had reservations about the lavishness of the dinner. During the speeches, Martha stood up, her voice loud enough to command the room. I want to thank everyone for gathering here to celebrate my son, she began. He's incredibly hardworking, generous, and truly deserving of this promotion. Unfortunately, his good fortune hasn't extended to his choice of a partner. The room grew tense as her words hung in the air. It's unfortunate that, of all people, he's tied himself to what some might call a gold digger. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach, but I remained still as she continued, her tone dripping with regret. I only wish he had seen her true nature earlier. Then maybe he wouldn't have to work so hard to support her lavish lifestyle. Her eyes scanned the room, making sure her message was heard. It's painfully obvious to everyone here that his wife has been extravagant, from the engagement party to tonight's dinner. It seems she has nearly drained his accounts. The sting of her words was sharp, but I kept my composure, knowing full well that any reaction would only fuel their baseless accusations. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. Martha added smugly, "Thank goodness we had Jessica sign a prenuptial agreement before the wedding. At least some of his assets are protected." She sighed, almost relieved, as she continued, "It's a good thing my son married someone who can at least keep up the appearance of a trophy wife." Tyler chimed in, agreeing with his mother. "I can't even afford to spend money on myself anymore. There's nothing left," he lamented, going so far as to say that marrying me was a mistake. He even compared my behavior unfavorably to what he imagined another wife might do in a similar situation. In shock and frustration, I finally spoke up. "Do you really think I'm a gold digger?" Tyler's response was sharp and hurtful. "Your lifestyle is quite damaging to my bank account." Stunned but determined to set the record straight, I confronted the accusations head-on. "Since you all think I'm such a gold digger, let me show you my bank balance. Maybe that'll clear things up." I revealed my financial independence to the room, which was met with disbelief. Amid the heated exchange, Martha pointedly accused, "Did you steal my son's money?" Tyler added suspiciously, "She must have taken it from you." Frustrated but calm, I responded, "I don't need to steal money from your son. Everything I have is from my own hard work. Besides, I recently accessed a trust fund left by my grandfather. I had plans to use it to buy a bigger house as a surprise for Tyler, but given the circumstances, that seems unlikely now." Despite my efforts to clarify, Tyler, seemingly ignoring the tension, suggested, "We can still buy the house. It'll be a wonderful gift." But I was resolute. "This is not happening. Your family has insulted me for too long, and you've never once stood up for me. Instead, you've allowed these false assumptions about me using your money to continue." My frustration was evident as I made my stance clear. Tyler, attempting to downplay the situation, claimed, "You're overreacting," but I knew I couldn't let it go this time. I was told I was overreacting, but I stood firm. "No, I'm not overreacting. Everyone here knows what your family has been saying about me. They were here when you allowed them to insult me at our engagement party." Feeling the weight of years of disrespect and humiliation, I reached a breaking point. I could no longer tolerate the toxic environment and told Tyler bluntly, "I want a divorce." As Tyler tried to plead and explain, my mother intervened. "You've never defended my daughter. It's time she ends this toxic relationship for good," she declared firmly. We left the party, leaving behind a crowd of shocked attendees who whispered among themselves. Despite the dramatic scene, I was resolute in my decision to end the relationship. My mother's support was unwavering, marking the end of a painful chapter in my life. After the confrontation, I went straight to our home, gathered my belongings, and while Tyler persistently tried to reach me, I muted my phone and went to stay with my mother for solace. The next day, I contacted my cousin, a lawyer, to start drafting the divorce papers. With a prenuptial agreement in place, the process promised to be straightforward, sparing me from sharing any of my significant financial assets with Tyler. However, the situation escalated when Tyler and his family showed up at my mother's doorstep, demanding to speak with me. My mother stood firm and instructed them to leave. Meanwhile, Tyler's messages ranged from tearful apologies to unsettling threats, which I documented and prepared to use for a restraining order if necessary. My mother's steadfast support gave me strength. Tyler even attempted to confront me at my office, but after informing security, he was promptly escorted out. It was then I decided to resign from my well-paying job. My thriving business meant I no longer needed the position, and I was no longer focused on accumulating wealth but on seeking a peaceful and dignified life. I handed in my resignation that very day and began moving forward. A week later, I served the divorce papers to Tyler at his workplace, only to find out he had already been informed of my resignation. My former colleagues reported his continued attempts to send flowers and gifts to my mother's house, which we consistently returned. The ongoing harassment led me to consider relocating. With my mother's encouragement, I found an ideal house in a neighboring state, providing a sanctuary away from my ex. As I awaited the finalization of the divorce paperwork, the judge facilitated a smooth proceeding thanks to the strong prenuptial agreement. During the 5 months of our separation, I took the time to regroup and prepare for a new chapter in my life. I quickly settled into my new home, changed my number to avoid the incessant messages from Tyler and his family, and began to enjoy my newfound freedom. I heard through the grapevine that Tyler's life was falling apart. He blamed his parents for the end of our marriage and faced professional setbacks as his colleagues distanced themselves and his superiors were displeased with the negative publicity. His parents contributed to the turmoil by spreading infidelity rumors, but thankfully, these baseless accusations didn't gain traction. In contrast, my life began to flourish. I focused on growing my business and embraced my newfound freedom. I started going out more and even re-entered the dating scene. While Tyler's past actions made me cautious, I remained hopeful that I would heal and eventually find someone who truly values and cherishes me. Although Tyler's actions caused me considerable pain, the strength I gained from overcoming those challenges propelled me into a brighter future, full of possibilities and self-discovery. I look forward to what lies ahead, confident in my resilience and clearer about what I seek in relationships and in life.